Nine uplifting Christian testimonies to encourage your faith. This video, I hope to encourage you with these awesome Christian testimonies of how God broke through the pain and hurt and brought forth salvation, healing, and breakthrough. Reading testimonies can be extremely powerful and uplifting. This is why I wanted to share some with you. But before we get started, I thought it would be good to answer, what is a testimony? What is a testimony? Testimonies come in all shapes and sizes. From salvation to small breakthroughs, all of them matter and all of them are powerful to show God's love, grace, and faithfulness. Have always loved what my pastor would say about testimonies. You can't have a testimony without a test, and that is the truth. We have all faced a different test in our lives that God has brought us out of. The other flip side is the true meaning of a testimony, which means to be a witness or give a report. Hebrew source and Greek source. Looking into the etymology of the word, proof or demonstration of some fact, evidence, piece of evidence. Every time we share our testimonies, whether big or small, we are demonstrating a fact about who God is. If you have experienced a healing, you are giving proof and demonstrating God as healer. If we have experienced God's provision in a situation, then we can give evidence that God is our provider. This is what makes testimonies so encouraging and powerful. They stir up our faith to believe that God is able and willing. They also glorify God and speak of His greatness. My salvation testimony. I have shared my salvation testimony at church and small groups before, but I have never shared my testimony online before. It's quite a lengthy story, so for the sake of this post, I will condense and share the key things that God did in my life. I will try to post a video up of my testimony soon. That way I can give a more detailed version of it. Condensed written version. When I was 15 years old, I had an encounter with Jesus. In the middle of the night, He came into my room and talked to me. I believe I was in a trance, but not sure. I remember waking up, going to the bathroom. When I went back to my bed, the encounter happened. It radically changed my life forever. He set me free of things that were tormenting me. At an early age, I was very interested in mythology and ancient religions. I thought it was interesting and fun to read. What I didn't know that it was impacting me on a spiritual level. I started to have some very dark encounters, and I became very fearful. He showed me His love and kindness in that encounter. I knew nothing about God or the Bible when it happened. It was the greatest thing that could ever happen to me. From that moment on, things began to change. But I was in a war with the enemy. Within 6 months, I was completely set free of demonic oppression by having a deliverance yup day. Mons got cast out. Hallelujah. I also experienced healing in my body. When they left, it was like I was a completely different person. That was when my transformation fully took place. I gave Jesus my heart, my life, my everything. I am who I am today because of this experience, and I will never ever go back. And my soul shall be joyful in the Lord. It shall rejoice in His salvation. Psalm 35-9. 8 more Christian testimonies. Below you will find 8 Christian bloggers that share their testimonies. I will be sharing a snippet of their testimony here, and you can click on their link to read the whole testimony. Backsliding and how to find your way back to God. I started sinking deeper into a hole I myself was digging. There were times I started to doubt God existed. Then I would remember miracles I saw in Mexico. I saw someone being raised from the dead, demons being cast out, and remember God speaking to me. Yet I was prideful and needed help getting out. Seeking truth amidst suffering. One by one I heard truth from the Lord to counter each lie, and I crossed that ugly list out. My heart began to long for Jesus to be praised, glorified, and honored, whether I remained with eczema or not. But now I had more confidence that I could actually offer that. I noticed in the next weeks that my attitude softened toward cleaning and difficult tasks. That these lies no longer hung over me and haunted me. Their power had been broken and light began to shine again inside of me. Do you need a weight loss miracle? Shortly after my first daughter, Rebecca, was born, I told a friend I started the Weight Watchers program. On the outside, it appeared I was simply a new mom attempting to lose pregnancy weight, but I had been battling food issues from the time I was young. Nothing will be impossible with God. One day, before I became pregnant, the battle between the adversary and the Almighty was in full force. I was tidying up the living room and had Bible screen playing on my laptop in the background. The enemy was pounding my heart and mind, feeding me lies that I didn't want to swallow. How could you ever be a mother? You're not well enough. You want a baby? Impossible. How God turned my trauma into triumph. My story has a rocky start, a messy middle, but a beautiful ending. I grew up fighting battles on all sides in the world, in my heart, and at home. My parents went through an absolutely horrendous divorce when I was 3 years old. My mother left my father for another man, and we went to live with him very abruptly. That man was my stepfather for the next 22 years. The dysfunction of a broken home plagued my childhood. My parents struggled to co-parent across all of that pain and my siblings, and I got caught in the crossfire. Our walk through infertility and postpartum depression and anxiety. For some time, I have wanted to put these experiences down on paper. The last 2 years of my life are years that I will never forget, and reliving them fills my heart with joy. Every bit of heartache is like a tiny grain of sand that God used to create something beautiful. This story is probably best suited for the ladies or fellas who don't mind girl talk. To dust and from dust. I don't credit anyone but myself for getting me into that mess. I'd, like the people of Israel, put things other than gold as the focus of my life. Relationships, being light, being right, you name it, it probably held precedence over God at some point during those 2 years. The thing is, though, and this is the part that I have struggled the most with, God allowed it. What I have learned about worshipful living. This week has been emotionally difficult. I had spoken to Mandy a few hours prior to her passing. We were laughing at one of my Facebook posts that was causing quite a stir. She comforted me as I her. We giggled, laughed, scratched our heads at some of the comments. I hope these testimonies have encouraged you in your walk with God. I know they have for me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.